The iPhone has a brilliant native camera app. It is full of great features and really easy to use, but it might surprise you to learn that even though Apple itself makes the native camera app, the app doesn't take full advantage of what the iPhone's camera system can do. This is because there are an estimated 1.4 billion iPhone users in the world, and the majority of them aren't photographers, and most don't want to learn photography. They just want to raise their camera up and within 1 or 2 taps, not even that, automatically take a great photo. But then there's you and me, the photographers, the types of people who enjoy having more creative input and control over our images. And this is where third-party apps come in. Third-party camera apps are camera apps just developed by other people that you can get from the App Store, and they allow you to utilize more of your iPhone's camera features and maximize the iPhone's camera potential. So let's explore some key differences between the iPhone's native camera app and third-party camera apps, and why a photographer might choose one over the other. Just keep in mind that this is a comparison and an overview. I don't have time to do a deep dive into everything I'm going to show you today. But don't worry though, because everything I go through will have its own video. First, let's talk about image formats. The iPhone's native camera app lets you shoot in HEIC, JPEG, and ProRAW, whereas third-party camera apps have those options and more, including TIFF, PNG, and my personal favorite, BayerRAW. Some third-party camera apps also let you capture 2 images at the same time in different formats. So let's say you wanted to capture a RAW file for editing and printing and a smaller JPEG file at the same time for sharing with your friends. Just be aware though that not every third-party app offers every image format. So to check that an app has what you need before you get it, under its App Store listing, you can scroll down to the preview section, tap on More, where you can see its features listed. And if you're unsure about which image format you should choose, then don't worry, I have a full video breaking it all down. Up next, we have focusing. Apple pioneered tap to focus on the very early iPhones, and it's still here today in the native camera app. But it is still the only way to focus. Third-party camera apps, on the other hand, offer multiple ways of focusing. There's tap to focus, just like in the native camera app, but some also have focus reticles. Think of focus reticles like a focus target that you drag around the screen to wherever you want to focus. I like to use the focus reticle to focus first and then compose. For example, I know I want her eye on this point of the rule of thirds, so I can drag the focus reticle to that point, and now it's going to stay locked there. So if I was to come in a little bit closer to recompose, or decide I want to move further away, or get a slightly different angle, then I know the focus is always going to be on that point where I left it. I love focus reticles because once it's in place, you get a constant reminder of where you're focused, and you can also tap and hold on it to lock your focus easily. Third-party camera apps also let you focus manually with a manual focus slider. Simply drag the slider until you achieve perfect focus, and you have guides to help you, such as a focus loop, which is a magnified view, and focus peaking, which is where you get a color overlay and the color intensifies the more something is in focus. And this is particularly useful for precise focusing during macro photography. Next, let's talk about exposure. Most of the time, the iPhone's native camera app will adjust your exposure automatically to make sure whatever you're looking at looks great. You can also tap to expose, which is the same thing you do to focus, and you do have some control. You can drag up and down to adjust the exposure, and there is an additional exposure slider in the hidden menu. With these options, you should always get the exposure that you want in the native camera app. But as you might expect by now, third-party camera apps offer even more options for exposure, such as an exposure slider and exposure reticle. Just like with the focus reticle, you move the exposure reticle to the area of the frame you want to expose for, and this is a brilliant way of focusing on one area while easily exposing for another at the same time. And you can also tap and hold on it to lock the exposure. Well, my favorite way to expose is with the manual sliders. You get one for ISO and one for shutter speed, and these unlock more creative control and possibilities. And I can't wait to show you those in a future video. Now, one thing you categorically cannot do in the native camera app is set your white balance. White balance determines how warm or cool the colors in your images are, and this dramatically changes your pictures. While the native camera app often does a fantastic job of choosing appropriate, natural looking colors for your scene, this isn't always the case, and sometimes it can get it wrong and make the colors in your scene look too warm or too cool. Plus, the white balance can shift as you're shooting. So if you're taking a series of photos, you could end up with inconsistent colors from one photo to the next. But as you guessed it, third-party camera apps have multiple ways of setting the white balance. Presets, for example, have different color temperatures associated with different lighting conditions. So if I tap here to change the white balance, now I'm on sunny day, which is what it is. But if I tap cloudy day, the colors get too warm, or I can tap for an indoor situation and the colors get way too cold. But the sunny day one looks just right. There's also a full manual slider, which you can drag to adjust the color temperature. And some apps even have a sample feature, which is where you take a sample photo of a neutral color. It automatically bases the white balance off of that. Personally, I always use third-party camera apps for my own photography. I have nothing whatsoever against the native camera app. I think it's brilliant. It just doesn't offer the features that I like to use. For example, I always shoot in RAW with full manual control over my exposure settings and white balance, and third-party camera apps let me do that. And that is the whole point. The availability of third-party camera apps gives you the freedom to choose how you would like to shoot. You can shoot in full auto in a third-party camera app, just like you can with the native camera app. But if one day you decide, you know what, let me look into this white balance thing, then the function is there for you. And if you decide to look at third-party camera apps, I have videos breaking down which app is best for what type of photography and which camera features, and I go much more in depth in everything I've spoken about today. So check those out and I'll see you there.